record the session so that we can see it later. So on today's session, we are going to discuss about transducers versus sensors. Means what is a transducer? What is the difference between a transducer and a sensor? And then we'll see one of the transducer, which is potentiometer. Small title for today. We'll go slowly because you're mechanical students. If I go fastly, so you may not understand, right? So let's get into the title. So here are we in our syllabus. So we have completed the first 25%. The second is sensors and transducer. We are slowly starting it. We'll get into up to potentiometer. So that's what. So 8 sensors or 8 transducers we need to see. So before going into the title, you need to know what is a transducer. Transducer is taken from the word transfer and uh, uh, and then the other word is ducer, means subdue it or something like that. So transfer means put something from to some place. So that is transfer. Now transducer means it is an device that will convert one physical quantity into another physical quantity. So the physical quantity which can be light, heat, or whatever available. So whatever is available in nature is analogous in nature, means that physical quantity is converted into some other quantity. So and some other quantity can be mechanical or electrical. So that's where the difference is going to be, right? So that is why you call it as transducer. It transduces from one physical state to another. So it can, the another physical state can be electrical or mechanical or any other kind, right? So sometimes we call it as indirect transducer. So which will convert one physical quantity to another. From another will convert it to electrical or mechanical. And the Mario, there is possibility. That is why I have mentioned readable analogous quantity. Readable means measurable. Analogous means it is not actually the same. It is equivalent and it is similar. If physical quantity varies in one way, this also varies, but in similar way. It is not the exact. அங்க வந்து physical quantity, இங்க electrical quantity இருக்கலாம், அல்லது ஒரு motion இருக்கலாம். Means ஒரு movement, or mechanical இருக்கலாம். So it is analogous in quantity. It is readable and analogous quantity. It could be a simple spring or force. நீங்க spring movement convert பண்ணி அது அப்படியே மீட்டர்ல நீங்க deflect பண்ண முடியும். So it need not be electrical always. It can be also mechanical. So that's why broadly it is classified into two categories. I can say it as categories because one is mechanical transducer, the another one electrical transducer. So in mechanical transducer, as it's stated now, any physical quantity can be converted into a relative motion or movement. So that is mechanical transducers. For example, in those days, in the weight and the circle weight அளக்கிறதுக்கு இந்த for example என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா there will be a spring balance. So அதுல போய் அந்த சாக்கம் they'll try to hang it. So that will create a tension out of which the meter will move and there will be a deflection too, right? So that measuring device, spring balance, is purely mechanical in nature. There is no electrical quantity. It simply converts the weight into the force, and the force exerted is directly rated out. So that is mechanical transducer. Nowadays, we are in our syllabus, we are going to see about electrical transducers, where the output is electrical in nature. The output of electrical transducer is electrical signal. So that's the thing. So these electrical transducers is also called as sensors. So why do we name it as sensors? See, in electronics engineering, whatever may be the operation, we will name it as such. So this tiny devices, these transducers. Actually, sensors are transducers, but not all sensors are, means all transducers are sensors. நான் சொல்றேன், இப்போ உங்களுக்கு கன்ஃபியூஸ் ஆகும். So these electrical transducers, the output is electrical. These எதனால சென்சர்ங்கிறது I'm trying to say. So this will tend to sense or pick up the physical quantity and try to produce an output. So that is why we call it as sensor. அப்படின்னு நம்ம நேம் வைக்கிறோம். So it is called a sensor because it senses the input and it will try to produce an output. So that's why we call it a sensor. So hereafter, instead of saying electrical transducer, we will simply mention sensor. So sensor means electrical transducer. It is not a mechanical transducer, right? So all transducers are not sensors, but all sensors are transducers. In a transducer or subcategory, all transducers are sensors nu sonningna tappu, because it can be mechanical also, but all sensors can be transducers because it is subcategory of transducer, right? Hope now you understood. So now we'll step into the next title. See, this sensors now, all even transducers can be classified on same type. Transducers can be classified as upon power requirement, upon the stages applied. Similarly, நம்ம இங்க sensors மட்டும் தான் first unitல we are going to deal with. So I mentioned it as sensors classification. First one is based upon power requirement. See, the sensors, there are two types. So one is active sensor, another one is passive sensor. Active means இது ஈஸி தான் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கிறது. It is like the student is active, he's always listening, so he is always productive, something like that. So active transducer means it is active, it is functioning, it doesn't need any external signal in order to function. அதாவது எக்ஸ்டர்னலா நீங்க அதுக்கு சப்ளை கொடுக்க வேண்டியதில்லை. Something which is always active. The easiest example is your solar panel. Your solar panel is always active. It need not, sorry, you need not give any additional source. The panel, when it gets sunlight, it will produce an output. So it is an active sensor. Whereas other things, there are other kind of category of transducer which are passive in nature. உங்க மொபைல்ல இருக்கிற எல்லாமே it is passive transducers. You need to power on and you need to give a power to it so that it can do its function. It cannot do its function on its own. அதனால தான் இங்க மென்ஷன் பண்ணிப்போம். Active transducers are always active. They don't need a power. They don't need a battery source to function. Whereas passive transducers, they need battery source to function. இப்போ கான்செப்ட்னு சொல்றேன். வர வர எவ்ரி டிரான்ஸ்டியூசர் அதோட ஆப்ரேஷன் பார்க்கும்பொழுது you will understand which one is active, which one is passive அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. So based on place or stage applied, we can call it as, there is another category which is called as primary transducer and secondary transducer. One more thing I want to say. So from today, I'll take a screenshot and then put attendance, not seeing on chat, because I think some people are putting their attendance in chat and then leaving. So we'll try, because there is a discrepancy count. So I'll try to take the snapshot before class is over. So based on place applied, it is classified as primary and secondary. So as I told you, there are some indirect way of sensing it. So one physical quantity is converted to other. From there, it is converted to the electrical quantity. Could be for convenience. So in that stage, the first transducer or sensor is called as primary sensor or primary transducer, and the second sensor or transducer is called as, means the following transducer is called as secondary transducer. Only the primary transducer will deal with the physical quantity. The secondary transducer will deal with already converted quantity. So அதை பொறுத்து primary, secondary அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்றோம், right? So that is classification of transducers. So we are getting into the first title, potentiometer. So this is potentiometer. There are different kinds of potentiometer. Ipo the right side picture pathina, it will be familiar to you. So this is a potential. This is also the same with a cap, with a knob. So this is called as potentiometer. இது எங்க நீங்க பார்த்திருப்பீங்கன்னா any audio systems, or yeah, in audio system could be car audio systems or personal addressing PA system இருக்கலாம், or sound system இருக்கலாம். அங்க volume control you would, and or balance like you would have seen this. So this is internally could view it in this way. So this is potentiometer. There are three terminal in it. One is input output and the other one is mobile arm. So one is ground. So this is where the knobs can be inserted, and this can be fitted through some bolt arrangements here. So any panel fit panik mudiyum. So when you rotate, right, the sound gets increased or decreased. Sir, either volume control then how can it be a sensor? Means no, it is a sensor too. It converts the angular movement. இங்க நீங்க motion, நீங்க handle move பண்றீங்க, you are moving it to raise the volume. But if it is something, some equipment that is moving, some mechanical device which is having an angular motion, and you want to read out that, then you can go for potentiometer. For example, I'll say உங்களோட கார்ல the visor இருக்குல்ல, the visor movement, if you want to read it and if you want to automate something, then that visor you need to connect it to this potentiometer. So when the visor moves, the potentiometer also moves, right? So the potentiometer moves, what happens அப்படிங்கிறது I'll show it to you. Inside this potentiometer, this has some error. So inside this potentiometer, there will be a carbon film which is there. So at least you can see some sort of, I think. So this carbon film, yeah, this carbon film, when you move the movable arm, according to, see, this is first arm and this is movable arm, according to where you connected. Wait a minute. According to where you connected, the resistance is going to vary. For example, the last one, it is 60 kilo ohms. First one, it starts with 0 kilo ohms. So 0, and then I'm trying to vary. So it goes from movement converted to resistance. So this is understood. So resistance variant spot. Inge, there are two types of potentiometer. So one is and variable both are variable resistances. So this is can be connected to external control, and this is internal. For example, certain things you need to fix it inside the board. So other preset and so on, other adikadi should not be changed. In that case, here you will use a screwdriver, screwdriver, and then you will try to rotate it and keep a preset value. For example, still adjustment or brightness or whatever is fixed inside, and it should not be changed by the user. And the maridala on board potentiometer nu solluvom. So in the potentiometer use பண்ணுவோம். இல்ல off board where the user has to control it அப்படிங்கிற situations we will make use of this kind of potentiometer, which is bigger in nature. Whatever when you try to take it, unmount it, and if you see, there'll be a carbon film, or even there'll be wire wound resistors. இதுதான் வந்து உங்களோட the same potentiometer is there in your fan regulator also. Fan regulator step regulators இருக்கு. So அதுலயும் there is a resistance variation only, or smooth move ஆகும்ல, அது எல்லாமே இந்த pot யூஸ் பண்ணிருப்போம். So that is potentiometer, right? So that's all for today. So what we have seen today is we have seen about sensors, transducers, what is the difference between transducer and the sensor. Then we have seen one sensor which is